Hello, everybody. My name is Francisco Jasso, and today I'm going to be talking about the Zodiac because I know that sometimes that's an interesting topic for many people, especially when we are talking about compatibility. And it's interesting to see the Zodiac from a personality perspective. So this is a little introduction into, I want to make this little segment about um, different compatibility with different signs, right? Because there's a lot of information about, for example, the compatibility between I don't know, an Aries with another Aries, or an Aries with a Gemini, or I don't know, a Scorpio with a Pisces, or so what I want to do is talk about the compatibility, talk about um, the the differences, the similarities, and basically there are many things that we have to consider. For example, whether the sign is a cardinal. There are cardinal signs. The cardinal signs are the first signs in each season. So, for example, in fact, there is a cardinal sign that starts the cycle of the 12 zodiac signs, which is Aries. Aries is the first cardinal sign, and they are the first zodiac sign. They start spring, right? Then the next cardinal sign, which would be until summer, is Cancer. Cancer is another cardinal sign. And then the next cardinal sign is Libra. Libra starts or Libra starts fall or autumn, right? In October, in no September, in September, yeah, September 21st, more or less. And finally, the last cardinal sign is Capricorn, and Capricorn is around December 21st, and they start off winter, right? So each cardinal sign um, in each of the seasons that they represent, right? Spring, summer, fall, and winter. They have a personality that is that initiates, right? They initiate things. They like to. They're really good at beginning projects, right? They just like the season, they start the season. Of course, an Aries is very different from a Capricorn, right? Where a Capricorn focuses, yes, on beginning things, but also on ending them. And Aries, for example, will just focus on beginning and maybe working their way with different types of strategies or something. But um, it's going to depend a lot on other factors. For example, if they are a masculine sign or a feminine sign, whether they are, for example, the element, right? Whether they are a water sign, a fire sign, an earth sign, or what did I say? A water, earth sign, water, earth, air, or fire, right? Well, okay, after we have the cardinal signs, which are the ones that start off every season, we have the fixed signs, right? And the fixed signs are basically in those seasons, right? There is a second sign, which actually in each season there are three signs, right? So, for example, in spring, we have Aries first, and then the second sign, which is the fix, that one is Taurus. And well, I'll go by season. That's spring. In summer, we have Cancer, right? The first cardinal sign. And then we have Leo, another fixed sign. In autumn or fall, we have first Libra, and then we have Scorpio, right? Scorpio is the fixed sign. And finally, in winter, we first have Capricorn, and in second place we have um, Aquarius, right? Now, the fixed sign is going to be just like the name says it. That's why I make this fist, because they are basically unchangeable, right? And the theory goes that the first sign, the cardinal, starts the season, right? They start basically because this applies to basically life cycles, right? Like from birth to death, and just in general cycles in life. And when you are beginning something, right, you have well, like a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, creativity. There's all this energy around. And when you get to the fixed signs, or to those fixed moments, it's when you can relax and basically just reap in the benefits, right? It's a moment of relaxation, a moment of relaxing and taking in your success, whatever it was that you did in the beginning of the cardinal signs and the work that you did. Now you get to enjoy basically the fruits of your labor. And there is a third sign, right? The third sign is the crisis sign, right? The mutable, the adaptable, the changeable. And typically this sign has people that are, yeah, flexible in nature. They adapt very well to different circumstances. They're not as stubborn as the fixed signs, for example. So the well, not the I don't want to say crisis signs, right? But the mutable signs, um, they, for example, with spring, so it goes Aries, Taurus, and then Gemini, right? Gemini is a mutable sign. And well, after Gemini, we have Cancer, which would start summer. So the crisis sign is kind of like this sign that goes away from the fix, right? From the stable, from the stubborn, from the enjoyment, and it kind of shakes everything up a bit, right? It prepares you for change, to improve, to become better, and then it gives way to the new um, to the next season, for example, to the new cardinal sign, to the next cardinal sign. So in the springtime, it would be Gemini, and then in the summertime, we would have Cancer, right, which was the cardinal sign. We had Leo, which was the fixed sign, and then there is, I believe it is Virgo, right? So Virgo would be the mutable sign in summer, and then we would continue to fall or autumn. In autumn, we have in autumn Libra starts it, and then Scorpio is the fixed sign, and then finally after Scorpio we have um, Sagittarius, right? So Sagittarius would be the mutable sign during autumn or fall. And then finally in winter, we have Capricorn, who starts, it's the cardinal sign. We have Aquarius, which is the fixed sign. And then in last place, we have Pisces. There's an interesting relationship between Pisces, which is the last sign, and it's a crisis sign, it's a mutable sign, it's a flexible sign, a changeable, adaptable sign, chameleon sign, and Aries, which is the next one. Because it's a cycle, right? When we finish with Pisces, then we continue with Aries, and the whole cycle repeats. The cycle starts obviously in spring, during March season. So right now we would be in Pisces season, and we would be about to finish Pisces season to begin with Aries season. So they call Pisces season the last season, the last stage, the last sign of the zodiac. It is also the sign that represents infinity. It's a water sign, it's an emotional sign. So they say that because in the zodiac you have emotional signs and you have logical signs, right? So the emotional signs are the ones that have to do with creation, right? With chaos, with the depths of life, right? With the mysterious, because, for example, when a baby's born, a baby, well, before a baby's born, a baby is basically in that type of Pisces stage, you could say. And when a baby's born, they are born into Aries, right? Even the nature in which they are born is aggressive. It's with blood and screaming and yeah, it's beautiful, but it's also aggressive, right? It's Aries, um, and that's where we would start the cycle, right? So we can categorize them like this: the signs, right? Some are cardinal, some are fixed, and some are mutable. We also classify them in masculine and feminine, right? And masculine and feminine qualities have to do with the yin and yang, the Tao, right? The black, the white. There's black in the white. There's white in the black. Day, night, life, death. All these the dichotomy or the bipolarity, we could say, of life basically is represented also in the zodiac signs. So one way that we can express the masculine, because it doesn't really have anything to do with men or women, right? It has more to do. I look at it as, for example, masculine signs are more extroverted, right? And feminine signs are more introverted, right? So this is kind of where we say, what do you do when you are tired? And people will say, well, I need to be alone, I need to rest, I need to be with my own thoughts, right? That's, I think that's more of an introvert by nature. And there are people that say, you know what, I need to breathe, I need to go out, I need to talk to people, I need to socialize, I need to be with my friends, with my family. That would be more of a naturally extroverted person, right? We need both. We need both. We need balance between both energies. But we would have the masculine signs, which would be a little bit more inclined to socialize, to be extroverts, and the feminine signs, which would be a little bit more inclined to be introverted, right? More reflective, you could say, a little bit, even a little bit more emotional, and the masculine is a little bit more logical, right? Like we have all these qualities that start to relate one to the other. So, in order to understand the masculines and the feminine signs, we have to first understand the elements. So we have fire, air, earth, and water, right? And if we start at the top, right, we would start with well, I like to view it like this, right? This is kind of like the way I view it. Fire, right? The sun. The sun is fire. Which are the earth signs? We have Leo, we have Aries, and we have Sagittarius. If you notice, each one is a different component, right? We have Leo, who's a fixed sign. We have Sagittarius, who's a mutable, and we have Aries, who's a cardinal sign. So we have every element has one sign from each, right? They have a fixed sign, they have a mutable sign, and they have a cardinal sign. So the fire signs are Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries, right? And the fire signs, well, they are emotional by nature. In fact, they are emotional signs, but they're masculine. So they have a lot of, so that's kind of where you get these type of like weird mixes, right? Where they're emotional, but they're also masculine. They have the logical, they have the little bit of the extroverted in them. Um, and yeah, the fire signs, I would say they're passionate. They have a tendency to be related in the sense of the four different dimensions of the human, which are the spiritual dimension, the brain, the mental dimension, the physical dimension, and the emotional dimension. They're more intact with the spiritual, right? They're kind of with the higher power, with the spiritual, emotional type of signs. Um, they're fun. They're masculine, so they're extroverted by nature. They're good friends. They're fun friends. Very creative. I mean, look at J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter. She's a Leo. Um, Christopher Nolan, James Cameron, right? They're all Leos. A lot of Leos are very creative. Sagittarius are great performance too, like Christina Aguilera, Miley Cyrus, Britney Spears, right? And yeah, and Aries is there too. Aries is there with them. They're also great actors, right? Performers. So the fire signs, they're emotional. They're um, they're also very masculine. And then in the next category, I would place the air signs. The air signs are also masculine, but they're logical, right? So you could say that they operate more with the brain, right? They're very rational, and these include Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini, right? So these signs are highly intelligent. They know many things about many things, right? For example, Gemini is a butterfly, a social butterfly. They need to be actively talking. They breathe socialization. They breathe words. Jordan Peterson, for example, is a Gemini, right? And he gives conferences, so they like to talk to people. They like to have many friends from different walks of life. They're also very eccentric people, right? Um, Geminis, for example, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a Gemini. He talks a lot. Then we would have like Libras, like Hugh Jackman, great performers too. Um, Libras are really in tune with the planet Venus, like Taurus is. So they have good taste for music. They have good taste for fashion, for clothes, for movies, for art, right? They're also very diplomatic. They're really good people, like Gandhi, right? They will try to keep the peace. And Aquarius says they're more rebellious. They are the innovators, right? I think the Simpsons creator is Aquarius. So yeah, they're always looking to innovate, right, in some way. And the air signs, they're all about ideas. They're all about communication. They're great people to exchange ideas with, to talk to. Um, and yeah, we have the logical, and in this case, masculine signs, right? The air signs. And then and if you notice, I'm kind of going from like the sun to the air, and now we'll go to earth, right? Earth signs are feminine. Now we're talking about feminine. So the feminine signs are going to be the ones that are earth and water, right? But the earth signs are logical, right? Just like the air signs. So you could say they get along. I mean, later, if I make other videos talking about compatibility, this is very important to understand, because people always ask, like, how is the relationship with this sign and this other sign? Well, you have to consider all of this, because if they're in the same element, they're more compatible than if they're outside of their element, right? But if they're outside of their element, well, are they both feminine? Are they both masculine? Is one feminine? Is one masculine? Right? Is one emotional and one logical masculine? Right? So we have to take, is one cardinal and mutable or fixed? So we have to take all of these into consideration. We have earth signs, which are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, right? Again, each one from each different moment in the season. Taurus fixed, Capricorn cardinal, and Virgo mutable, crises, right? Changing. So the earth signs are practical, right? These guys, they're pragmatic. They don't really struggle with a lot of things. They're kind of pessimistic, because they have a very matter of fact way of life to their personality, to their nature, right? So they view things just as is, right? I mean, there are a lot of combinations, but earth signs typically don't really bother with ideas. If something works, you know, keep doing it. Why change it? Especially Taurus. Taurus is a fixed sign who they say is legendary stubborn, right? They don't want to change. If they dig their heels in like the bull, and they don't change. So the earth signs are well, in this case, Taurus is can be stubborn, right? Taurus is in contact with Venus, with the planet, also, like, yeah, and each sign has their own planet, right? Which also, like, influences in their characteristics. For example, Virgo and Gemini both have Mercury, which Mercury is the planet of communication. We have, like, Jupiter and Sagittarius. Sagittarius always looks for wisdom, for more information. They're very wise, also very optimistic. The moon in Cancer, right? Emotional, moody, changing. Um, and then the sun in Leo, for example, right? Like the center of the universe, attention. So yeah, the planets also have a lot. If you want, I can talk about the planets later on, and how they influence the signs. But yeah, basically in Earth, we have those three signs. Taurus can be unchanging. We have probably Capricorn and Virgo. They're along with Taurus, they're very stubborn personalities, very stubborn zodiac signs. Where, I mean, there's a good thing, there's a good side and a bad side to being stubborn. If you're wrong, it's a bad thing. If you're right, I mean, you can stand out from among everybody and be better because of that, right? So I guess it really depends on how you view it, because being stubborn means you don't give up, right? So the earth signs have that going for them. They are the hardest workers, like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's a Taurus, and his motto is literally the hardest worker in the room. um they can resist a lot physically, because oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So how we saw the relationship between the dimensions of the human being, right? The spiritual dimension, the mental dimension, the emotional dimension, and the physical dimension. In the fire signs, they are in contact with the spiritual dimension, um, which is really unknown, right? If you ask me, like, what is spiritual, I don't really know. Spiritual is something that can't really be explained. The other three we can explain. The mental dimension belongs to the air signs, obviously, ideas, communication, right? And the earth signs are in contact with the physical dimension, right? So the body, what you can see, what you can touch, the tangible, the senses, right? I think they're really good at that. I mean, for example, Tauruses can make great chefs, right? In theory, Capricorns, they're really hard workers. Actually, the theory of Capricorn goes that they are such hard workers that they forget about everything else, right? They're traditional, obviously. Capricorns, Virgos, and Tauruses, Earth signs, they're traditional. So they will have family values, family structure. They're very structured people. But the theory of Capricorn goes that they are so into their work or projects or whatever they're doing that they forget about everything else, right? They don't have time for friends, for socializing, for ideas, for spiritual stuff, for none of that stuff, right? I mean, their family is there, family values, tradition, and that's it. You know, work, 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 work. That's the theory of Capricorn, right? That's what they say about Capricorn. If you read about Capricorn, they're the managers of the Zodiac, Capricorns. And Virgos are kind of like the psychologists, right? They say they're people helpers, right? They're very analytical, very intelligent. They have Mercury, so they have a little bit of air in them, right? Like Gemini. So they're great thinkers, they're great critics, right? But that can also turn against them because they can be pessimistic because of that, right? Overthinking, overanalyzing. Earth signs in general overthink, overanalyze, even though they don't really show it. um so yeah, that would be earth signs. So logical, feminine, right? And practical, right? In contact with the physical dimension. And finally, we would have the water signs. The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Excuse me. And Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, well, each one from one of the different moments in the season, right? In their seasons. Mm, these signs are feminine and emotional, right? So what this means is that you're going to have people that are very connected, very in contact with their emotions and with other people's emotions, right? To the point that if they try to explain this to the other signs are not going to understand that, right? For example, an earth sign is not really going to be able to fully understand the intensity of the emotions that the water signs feel because they feel a lot all day, every day, right? Scorpio, for example, is known as a sign that is very mysterious. Like they're kind of incognito, right? Like kind of hiding. So they'll like hide their emotions, but they feel a lot and they feel very strong. Um, Cancer, for example, cancers are the moms of the zodiac, so they make great moms. Um, but yeah, very emotional. I'm not saying emotional is bad. I'm just saying that if you don't really know how to channel the emotions, they can become very destructive. And Cancer, I mean, if you look up the most dangerous sign in the zodiac, Cancer comes up very frequently, right? I mean, there's like other theories or other maybe articles that say other signs, right? But I've seen Cancer a lot because Cancer is that emotional, so they can literally kill because of their emotions or because of something that people do to them or that something that happens. They're very protective. They see they see their friends, for example, they see all people in their life that they care about like children that they got to care for, right? So they have a kind of a mom tendency, right, of taking care of children. um, so I mean, this obviously is not to be exaggerated. I don't mean that they're going to be, like taking care of their friends like if they were children. I'm just saying that they have a tendency, kind of like Virgo, to help, right? To be there, to emotionally also. If you need someone to talk to, you need water signs, right? Water signs are Scorpio, great listeners. Cancer, Pisces, I mean, they'll understand you for sure. If you're any other sign or even a water sign too, they'll be there for you emotionally if you're feeling or going through anything. So they're very good people, very nice, but they have that destructive side. I mean, I saw some videos on YouTube on this girl. She would talk about the dark side, and I think you can look it up like that. The dark side of Aries, the dark side of Gemini, the dark side, right? Because we know there's light, we know there's dark, right? So there are good things, there are bad things about everything, about everybody, about, basically anything. So yeah, and they are obviously connected to the emotional dimension of human beings, right? They govern, or they rule the water, the emotional side. So in the cycle of the zodiac, as you could probably tell, the last sign is Pisces, a water sign, a mutable sign, right? And the next sign, the one that starts the cycle again, is Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and they're both emotional. So in a way, they are connected with that emotion, right? They go from water to fire. And if you ask me, I mean, just based on elements, who's compatible with who, I can probably tell you. Well, you're more compatible, obviously, with your own element, right? And if you're going to go out of your element, you're more compatible with someone that is, for example, if you're feminine, someone that is feminine. If you're masculine, someone that is masculine. And if you go out of that, right, out of your element and out of your masculine or feminine category, um, I think, for example, earth signs and air signs can be compatible because of the logical, right? But they say that fire and water do not mix, right? Why don't they mix? Because I mean, you can think of it this way: if you combine, for example, earth and water, you get mud, right? If you combine earth and fire, you get lava, right? You can't really combine air and earth, right? Because you just kind of get like a tornado or something. Um, but if you combine uh, fire and water, it doesn't really mix because fire needs to burn, right? And if you have water there, it's going to boil the water, it's going to burn it, right? And if you have water there, water is probably going to turn off the fire, right? And notice and looking into it in a more logical way, right? You have two emotional signs, right? Because they are emotional, one masculine, one feminine. But those type of combinations wouldn't really be compatible all that much, right? In general. But I mean, if you talk about like I don't know, like a fix with a fix, maybe, right? Or even a mutable with a mutable, right? Like a Sagittarius with a Pisces, right? But I mean, it's far fetched, but could be. Well, this is just a brief summary of the information that we kind of need to understand before I go into the compatibility of different signs. Obviously, there's differences. There are more differences. For example, if they're men, if they're women, um, we can't ignore obviously the context, the culture in which you're born, right? Your genetic. There are other aspects. Also your age, right? Your age also. What type of life stage are you in, right? Are you in school? Are you working? Are you looking to buy a house? Are you retired? Do you have kids, right? All of these things matter. Obviously, I think this question of compatibility is more for people in their teenage years and maybe 20s, right? Um, but yeah, basically, if you want to see more information, hear more information, please comment down below and tell me what type of compatibilities you want me to do. I could start just with areas because they're the first, right? Um, but I don't think that would be as fun, right? I think I want to hear what you have to say. If I don't see any comments, I probably won't continue doing Zodiac videos. But if you want more information about compatibility, I'll be more than happy to give it to you. So please just comment what type of compatibility you want. If you could even explain a little bit the situation, I'll be happy to help out. And I hope this helps out people also trying to learn English because this is an English channel. And I'm just looking for ways to be creative and give back to the community. So thank you for listening. If you got all the way to here, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.